All right, verse 9 and 10. The last two verses of our section this morning. Psalm 22, verses 9 and 10 is about God's being, his very nature, and his activity. Who God is and what God is doing is what makes you and I so worthy of his attention. He invests in us. And so to personalize it, I say, I am a special creation by the Creator God, my God. And that, all by itself, transcends every experience. Even if my life is a life of suffering, pain, and torture, I can still bask in the truth that I am God's special creation and he is my creator and he is my God. And that, in fact, will make it endurable, survivable, as it were. Look at verse 9 and 10. Verse 9 and 10 says this, "Yet you are he who brought me forth from the womb." God was there from the beginning. "You made me trust when upon my mother's breasts. Upon you I was cast from birth. You have been my God from my mother's womb." God's been there all along for you and me. He not only loves us, he made us in his image. And he's been with us before our birth, from the womb of mama, and he's with us now, regardless of what trauma and tragedy we get into. This is God as creator. God has created us. And because God has created us, you are special. Your identity is important. Even the struggles you have are an aspect of his creation and his identity. We are made in the image of God. We're unique and divine. And that comes from Genesis. And I know you want to know what is the image of God. And there's not a list. The image of God can be anything. Divine purpose for us. He's not only made us in his image as a special creation, but he has a divine plan for our lives. We are on this earth for a reason. We've got a reason to get up Monday morning because God's got something planned. We're here on purpose. And that's empowering. That's empowering, especially when facing struggles and difficulties and haters. Divine destiny. It's because of verses like this where God is a creator God who knew me from the womb. That's why I'm pro-life. I'm anti-abortion. That's why I see a value of all life. Because God is involved in humanity. And we think of the short term and we miss the long term. And you just don't know what God is going to do through a teenage pregnancy, through a child that's an accident or whatever. God has a long history. There's great monuments to God working through people who would have been killed very early on. But we're special because we're humans, made in the image of God. And even the people who are your haters are special. See, that's the sovereignty of God over individuals. He's got this. He's in charge. So we need to look for God's image in other people. That's an interesting exercise, to see somebody that is hating on you, somebody who is slandering you, somebody who is demonstrating all the ugliness of humanity, whether it's in the hallways of your high school or at work or whatever, and to look for God's image in them. Where is the image of God in this person? And when you can see the image of God in one of your haters, you focus in on that image, and you've got something to rejoice in. You can immediately see value in them. He may be against everything I believe in, but he sure is a hard worker. Hard worker, like in the image of God. I can celebrate the fact that he's a hard worker while he's yelling at me. Or take it to the next level of the sovereignty of God over the individual and look for God's image in yourself. How are you made in the image of God? And how is his image seen and experienced within you? I think God is the creator God first and foremost. He's the creator before he's the savior and rescuer. And so I think God is creative, artistic. So if you have an opportunity to be creative and artistic, I think that has the possibility of being a divine act. So when I think of myself, I've always thought of myself as an artist. So God's image in my life is anytime I'm being creative. Look for God's image in your life and embrace that. And that'll help you manage being too prideful or being too self-pitying. It'll help you manage between born of dust, dying in dust, and you're made in the special image of God. It'll help balance that out. It's harder said than done. That's a task we need to commit some energy to learn really, really well, to see God's image in ourselves and see God's image in people that are hurting us. And then God's sovereignty over the individual. Ask God what his plan and destiny for you specifically is. Why am I on this earth, God? Tell me why I should get out of bed tomorrow morning. And God, in his faithfulness, through direct answered prayer, through his word, or even through the wise counsel of godly men and women around you, will answer that. And to know your divine purpose on this planet is so encouraging, so delightful, so uplifting. Then you know you're walking the walk, you're doing what you're supposed to do. Then all of that ugliness of the world gets pushed farther away, and you can focus in on God's kingdom and God's will. And a lot of the things that weigh us down and burden us just disappear. Because there's nothing better than God. Now that's a church answer, but it's true. There's nothing better than God. And in the midst of our life struggles, he's the answer. It's God, God, God. He's got this, my friends. He's in your corner. He's got your six. He's got whatever you are facing. God has got this. So commit yourself and your burden to him. That's the application statement. God's got this. Commit yourself and your burden to God. And let's walk in this. Not being overwhelmed by those problems, but trusting that God's got the problem. We can do this, my friends. We absolutely can.